Hello everyone, my name is Tabitha Douglas. Today I will be discussing and explaining the 4 different types of parenting styles. These parenting styles can impact how children develop and grow, and how they will act when they themselves have grown into an adult. The 4 different parenting styles have been documented are authoritarian, permissive, uninvolved or neglecting, and authoritative. These different styles will be one of the leading causes to how an individual forms into their own person. An authoritarian parenting style is a style when the parent tries to shape, control, and evaluate the behavior of their children in accordance with some pre-established absolute standard. This can be found in the criminal justice psychology textbook that we use in our class on page 39. The permissive parenting style is when the parent displays tolerant, non-punitive, accepting attitudes towards their children's behavior, including expressions of behavior and sexual impulses. That's on page 40 of the same textbook. The neglecting or uninvolved parenting style is when the parents demonstrate detachment and very little involvement in their children's lives or activities. That's also on page 40 of our textbook. And the authoritative parenting style is when the parents try to direct their children's activities in a rational, issue-oriented manner. There are frequent decision-making exchanges and a general spirit of open communication between the parents and the children. Again, this is on page 40 of our textbook. Though the neglecting parenting style can seem like the most effective parenting style in hurting children's personal growth, I think that it can be just as damaging if 2 of the other styles, permissive and authoritarian, are used. In this presentation, I will be focusing on each of the different parenting styles, and I'll give an explanation on how it can affect the children in the future, and plus my own examples and opinions on the matter. The first parenting style I am focusing on is the authoritarian parenting style. Again, this style is when the parent is trying to shape and control the children's behavior, based on the strict rules of the house. A great source I had found was one where a father gives tips to other dads in his own opinions and research he has done. I really liked the information that he gave because it was very personable and I felt a really strong connection and willingness to listen to what he had to say. He had produced a YouTube video and then did a sort of half transcript with it to follow along with, so it was much easier to follow along with than just one video or just one text. The authoritarian parenting style is a very strict and is all work and no play. It is not very cuddly. The creator of this website that I told you is Jason Creedman. He states that this type of parenting style can create low self-esteem in children. It can cause kids to be fearful or shy or even have them associate obedience with love. Kids of authoritarian parenting are more likely to misbehave when the parent isn't around. Amy Morin, another source that I have found, states that authoritarian parents may use punishments instead of discipline. So rather than teach a child how to make better choices, they're invested in making kids feel sorry for their mistakes. We've all heard the horror stories of teenagers who have grown up in these sort of environments, where the parents are very assertive and believe in rules more than listening to their own children. Many of these children, once they go off to college and are unsupervised, they go insane with freedom. They'll drink lots of alcohol and they'll do lots of drugs and they'll have no personal care for themselves or others. They have no regard for rules because they finally have the freedom that they've been craving and they've never had before. Unfortunately, this leaves many children to hurt themselves or others. They can often get arrested because of the behaviors that they take. Parents may find themselves more in this field of a parenting style when it has the thoughts of beliefs such as kids should be seen and not heard. When it comes to rules, you believe it's my way or the highway, not taking your children's feelings into consideration. Again, this is Amy Morin, who stated the different ways that a parent can be noticed as the different parenting styles. The next parent style is the permissive style. The permissive style is when parents are very laid back, so laid back that they end up not enforcing any rules and doing more of what the child wants. Jason Creedman says, the parent avoids confrontation, maybe prefers to be a friend rather than a parent, and often uses reward or bribes to get the child to do things. Some of the ways to see if a parent has more of a permissive parenting style is if the parent has the thoughts or beliefs such as setting the rules but rarely to enforce them, not giving out consequences often, thinking your child will learn best with little interference from you. Again, this is Amy Morin who stated these different things that parents may see if they are one of the permissive parents. The attached family, another source that I had found, states that some permissive parents want to compensate for what they lacked as a child. Possibly they didn't have what they can give to their kids now. Maybe they were in a state of poverty and now they have enough money that they can get their kids presents that they weren't able to get when they were a child. Or maybe they were neglected as a child, didn't get the love that they really wanted and the freedom that they wanted. And so they didn't want their child to go the same thing. They will do anything in their power, and they'll even bend over backwards to give the child what they want. Some parents may try to take control after realizing that their own child has way too much control themselves. And often this leads to power struggles between parents and the child. And a good example of this, good but a bad example, would be Dr. Phil. In a lot of his episodes, there are parents or guardians that are trying to take control over the child that they raised, but since they were so lenient, now that they're trying to take control, the child starts a power struggle with them. So you see this in a lot of episodes. The next style is an uninterested or neglecting parenting style. This is when the parent has little to no interest in the child's life or activities. They often tend to let their children to do what they want, not taking much interest, and no consequences come if something is done wrong. Children of this style have a hard time forming relationships and they lack having trust in other people and have difficulty dealing with other children. Again, this is stated by Jason Creedman. You see this in a lot with children that are playing on the playground. These children are often shy and they don't have much of an interest playing with other children. And these are the ones that are living in more of a neglecting lifestyle. Their parents don't exemplify to them what social interactions are, and they have a hard time learning on their own how to have social interactions. And traits to identify if one is more of an uninterested or neglecting style parent are not asking your kid about school or homework, rarely knowing what your child is or who she is with, not spending much time with your child. Again, Amy Morin stated this. This parenting style can seem the most harmful, and while it isn't beneficial to the child, I also think that the other two parenting styles can be extremely damaging to children in their upbringing. If a child asks to do something that might not seem safe, the attached family states that neglecting parents may say just whatever, showing their lack of involvement in the child's life. The last parenting style is the authoritative parenting style. The authoritative parenting style focuses on a parent's rational view of a child's needs and wants. They speak to their children, understand where they're coming from, but they also tell them that this is why I'm not going to allow you to do this. This style is seen as best by far. This is how most parents either raise their kids, or it's the ideal way how you want to raise your kid. Jason Creedman states that with the authoritative parenting style, it includes high standards and expectations, but it's balanced with warmth, respect, and rationality. It is regarded as the most effective parenting style, and it includes having an open communication and cooperation. He also goes on to talk about the outcomes of the authoritative parenting style, saying kids with authoritative parents are more likely to become independent, socially accepted, and less likely to report depression and anxiety, as well as less likely to engage in delinquency or drug use. Traits you might find in authoritative parents are putting a lot of effort into creating and maintaining a positive relationship with your child, explaining the reasons behind your rules, enforcing rules and having consequences, but also taking your child's feelings into consideration. Authoritarian is a great balance that can fully help a child develop into their own individual self. The attached family states that the child of authoritative parents typically do well in school, they develop good social skills, and they avoid problem behaviors. Something to remember with all of these parenting styles is that it is not all black and white. A parent can use more than one parenting styles in their life with their children. A permissive parent may also be very authoritarian. They may be lenient but also have a nurturing and loving relationship. I can have an example of this when I was being raised in more of my elementary school years. My parents were very loving. They set rules to follow, but they also wanted to make sure that I understood them and that my feelings were being taken into account. But when it came to more things of school, they didn't really, though they paid attention, they didn't focus mainly on my homework. And because I didn't have such strict rules around homework things, I did start lacking in that, which they noticed later on in the years, and they started trying to help me with that. It's also very important to take notice that just because you have one of the many parenting styles that aren't authoritarian, it doesn't mean that you're the ultimate bad person. Many people go through hardships when they have kids. Maybe they're not ready. Maybe their child or yourself has a mental or physical disability. And if the parent is going through a divorce or maybe a loss in the family that either might be the spouse or just a very close family member, or the environmental factors like poverty or living in just a very bad neighborhood. People can always change their behavior. They just have to realize that they need to change. If a parent wants to change, then they can, and no one is stuck in one place forever. All you have to do is reach out for help. Thank you for listening to my presentation of the 4 different parenting styles.